Mama, are you sure we'll be okay? Papa really isn't coming back?
It's just the two of us now. But I promise you, I will never let you fall. Not ever.
But we have nothing. How will we eat? Where will we go?
We have each other. That's enough for now. I spoke to Madame Kone at the market. She needs help at her food stall every morning. I'll wake up at 5, work until noon. And you will go to school. Every single day, you hear me?
But Mama, you always wanted to open your own restaurant.
That dream can wait. You are my dream now. Come, let's pray and sleep. Tomorrow we start again.
Amara was 11 years old the night her father died. No warning, no goodbye. Just an empty chair at the table, and a mother who cried only once, that first night, and never again in front of her daughter. Fatu was 34 years old with no degree, no savings, and no family nearby. What she had was 2 hands, a strong back, and a love so fierce it frightened her sometimes. She reported to Madame Kone's stall the very next morning. She didn't ask for sympathy, she asked for an apron. The years that followed were not easy. There were mornings Fatu ate nothing so Amara could have a full plate. There were school fees that arrived like emergencies every term, and Fatu met every single one. She sold extra portions on weekends. She braided hair at night by lamplight. She did what mothers do when the world offers them nothing. She made a way. And Amara, she studied like her life depended on it, because she understood, even as a child, that her mother's sacrifice was not free. It had a cost, and the only currency Amara could pay it back in was excellence. First place, scholarship, university admission. The day that letter arrived, Fatu held it with both hands and read it 4 times. Then she went outside, looked up at the sky and said, "Thank you." Just that. Thank you. University changed Amara. Not all at once. Slowly. The way water reshapes stone. You don't notice until the stone is already different. She made new friends, girls with money, connections, and a certain way of carrying themselves that Amara studied carefully and began to imitate. She stopped saying her mother sold food at a market. She started saying her mother ran a small catering business. A small lie. Harmless, she told herself. But small lies have a way of growing legs. In her second year, she met Dominic, 38 years old, import and export, traveled constantly, wore his wealth quietly but unmistakably. He looked at Amara like she was the most interesting person in any room. She liked that. She liked it very much. 8 months passed before she mentioned him to her mother. 8 months of dinners, weekend trips, and expensive gifts, all kept carefully separate from the woman who had given up everything for her. When Fatu finally met him, Dominic was charming and respectful. He told her she had raised a remarkable woman. Fatu looked at him steadily and said, "I know. Take care of her." He laughed. Fatu did not. She was not joking. The engagement was quick. Too quick, Fatu thought, but Amara was glowing in a way that was difficult to argue with. So Fatu said her concerns once, clearly, and then she helped plan the wedding. She contributed everything she had saved over 2 years. She didn't mention the amount. She just handed it over in a brown envelope and said, "For my daughter's happiness." The wedding day arrived. The venue was spectacular. Flowers from ceiling to floor, guests in silk and lace, a live band, a photographer who moved through the crowd like a ghost. Fatu arrived early in her best dress, the green one with gold embroidery she had bought 3 years ago and saved for a special occasion. She helped arrange the food platters. She greeted guests warmly. She was happy, genuinely, completely happy. Then a woman in diamonds approached her near the buffet table. "Excuse me, are you with the catering company? The pepper soup is outstanding. Please pass my compliments to the chef." Fatu opened her mouth. Dominic appeared from nowhere, touched the woman's arm and smiled. She helps with the cooking, yes. Isn't she wonderful? Come, let me introduce you to Dominic's mother. And just like that, she stared the woman away. Fatu stood very still beside the buffet table. The noise of the wedding continued all around her. Music, laughter, clinking glasses. She picked up the serving spoon and she kept working. Because what else do you do when your heart is breaking in the middle of your daughter's wedding? Life in Dominic's house was everything Amara had imagined. A large compound, a car of her own, domestic staff, dinners with influential people. She settled into it all like she had always belonged there. Fatu called every Sunday. Amara answered sometimes. When she didn't, she sent a short message, busy, talk later. Later rarely came. Dominic noticed. He was a perceptive man. He asked Amara once, gently, when her mother would visit. Amara said she was busy with the store. He asked again a month later. Amara changed the subject. The third time, he stopped asking and simply called Fatu himself, invited her for Sunday lunch and told Amara afterwards. She was not pleased. Fatu came. She wore her green dress again. She brought a pot of groundnut soup because she could not arrive at anyone's table empty-handed. Dominic's mother was visiting that same day. A tall woman with careful eyes who assessed Fatu within seconds of meeting her. "And what do you do?" she asked. "I run a food store at the main market. The pepper soup is quite well known in our area." A brief smile, the kind that doesn't reach the eyes. How lovely. Amara stared at her plate for the rest of the meal. On the drive home, Fatu sat in the back of the car Amara had arranged for her. She looked out the window the whole way. She didn't cry. She had decided long ago that she would not spend her tears on shame that didn't belong to her. But things got worse. There was the evening Fatu traveled 2 hours after a full day at the stall because she had a feeling, the kind of feeling only mothers get, that something was wrong with her daughter. She brought food, jollof rice, fried plantain, the chicken Amara had loved since childhood. Amara was home. She was not sick. She was simply tired of her marriage in the quiet, dangerous way that people get tired before everything collapses. She made her mother wait in the kitchen for 45 minutes. When she finally came down, she barely touched the food. She told her mother everything was fine. She told her she had an early morning. She picked up her phone and began scrolling. Fatu watched her daughter for a long moment. Then she stood, packed the empty containers and walked to the door. "You know where I am," she said, "whenever you are ready." She took a bus home in the dark. 2 hours, alone. The anniversary party was Dominic's idea. 5 years of business, 100 guests, a venue overlooking the water. He wanted everything perfect. 3 days before the event, Amara called her mother. "Mama, I need a favor. The catering company cancelled last minute. I know it's short notice, but you know food better than anyone. Can you come and help manage the kitchen? Just for the evening. I'll explain everything properly afterwards." Fatu said yes, because she always said yes when her daughter called. She arrived in her market clothes. She was given an apron. She managed the kitchen, directed the junior staff, tasted every dish before it went out. The food was magnificent. Guests were raving. At some point in the evening, a man in a grey suit wandered toward the buffet. He looked at Fatu. Then he looked across the room at Amara, then back at Fatu. "Excuse me. Forgive me for staring, but you look so much like the host. Are you perhaps a relative?" Before Fatu could speak, Amara materialized at her side. "She's part of the catering team. Incredible, isn't she? The jollof rice alone is worth the evening. A bright smile, a hand on the man's back. Come, there's someone I want you to meet." The man was guided away. The kitchen staff exchanged glances. Fatu turned back to the stove. She stirred the soup that didn't need stirring. She kept her face perfectly calm, but her hands that had worked every day for 20 years to give this woman a life, her hands were trembling. When the last guest left and the staff began clearing up, Amara found her mother washing serving bowls in the kitchen sink. "Mama, the soup bowls are done. The platters are stacked by the door. I want to explain. Fatu dried her hands slowly, turned around. Amara, I woke up before sunrise every day for 15 years, so you would never have to apologize for who your mother is. I went hungry, so you could have new textbooks. I folded myself small into corners, so you could stand in the middle of every room you walked into. And tonight, in front of your husband's guests, in front of strangers who will forget my face by tomorrow morning, you could not say my name. Amara opened her mouth. I am not angry, Fatu said, quietly. I am tired. There's a difference. She picked up her bag, walked out into the night. This time, she didn't say, you know where I am. 3 weeks of silence, then 4. Amara told herself her mother needed space. She told herself she would call soon. She told herself a lot of things in the dark at 3 in the morning when sleep wouldn't come. Then one Tuesday, her phone rang. It was Madame Kone. Amara, your mother is in the hospital. She collapsed at the store yesterday morning. We couldn't reach you. She told us not to bother you. She said you were very busy. The drive to the hospital was the longest of Amara's life. Fatu was on a ward on the 2nd floor. She looked smaller in the hospital bed, older. Her hands rested on top of the white sheet, those strong, tireless, incredible hands, and they looked still in a way Amara had never seen before. When Fatu opened her eyes and saw her daughter, she smiled. Not with bitterness, not with accusation, just relief, pure and simple. You came. Of course I came, Mama. Of course I came. She sat down beside the bed and took both her mother's hands in hers, and she didn't let go. Amara did not leave that hospital for 4 days. She slept in the chair beside the bed. She brought food from the market stall. Madame Kone insisted on keeping it open, said it's what Fatu would want. She fed her mother soup with a spoon. She learned for the first time the actual recipe for the pepper soup that had fed them both for 20 years. Dominique came every evening. He sat across from his wife and watched her become someone he had always hoped she was under the pride. One night he said, I used to wonder what kind of woman raised you. Now I know. The strongest kind. Amara cried until she had nothing left. Fatu recovered, slowly, then fully. And when she was well enough, Amara brought her somewhere new. A building on a quiet street not far from the market. A ribbon across the door, a small crowd of well-wishers, Madame Kone in the front row, already crying. What is this? What have you done? Cut the ribbon, Mama. Fatu stepped forward, the scissors in her hand. She looked up at the sign above the door and stopped breathing for a moment. Fatu's kitchen, built on her sacrifice, named in her honor. She turned to her daughter. Amara, you gave up your dream for mine. It's time you had yours back. Dominique helped with the building. The recipes are yours. The name is yours. All of it, it's yours. Fatu looked at the sign, then at her daughter, then at the small crowd of market women and neighbors who had watched this story from the beginning, who had seen the struggle, the sacrifice, the silence, and now this. She cut the ribbon. And then she held her daughter so tightly, so completely, that Amara felt like a child again, safe, forgiven, home. I'm sorry, Mama, she whispered. I am so sorry. Fatu pulled back and held her daughter's face in both hands, those same hands that had walked every day for 20 years. She looked at her for a long time. You are here now, she said. That is everything. There is a kind of love that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand recognition or keep a record of what it gave. It just shows up, before sunrise, in an apron, on a bus in the dark, at a hospital bedside without being called. That is a mother's love. And there is a kind of shame that grows quietly inside people who are climbing. Shame about where they came from, who raised them, what their story looks like next to someone else's. That shame is a thief. It will steal the most important things from you and you won't even notice until they're gone. Don't let it. The woman who made you is not your embarrassment. She is your foundation. Show her off. Say her name. Let people know exactly who she is and what she built before it's too late. Tell me in the comments, could you have forgiven Amara? And if you were Fatu, would you have walked back through that door? Like this video if this story stayed with you. Follow so you never miss the next one. Take care of the people who took care of you. See you soon.